The United Democratic Movement has written to the South African Reserve Bank to have access to the Phala Phala report following the bank's findings. The Reserve Bank has cleared President Cyril Ramaphosa of any wrongdoing, despite the bank acknowledgement that Ramaphosa and Phala Phala were not legally entitled to the dollars for the buffalo he sold. Meanwhile, Ramaphosa said he has noted the report on the Phala Phala case findings, while the ANC welcomed the report with its conclusions and findings. UDM leader Bantu Holomisa joins us now virtually. General Holomisa, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning, and good morning to our viewers.
Now, if the Reserve Bank concedes that the dollars on President Ramaphosa's farm were not indeed legal, isn't that enough ground to apply the exchange laws? I mean, what could have been the reason for exonerating him of any wrongdoing?
Well, the truth of the matter is that there has been a legitimate expectation on the part of South Africans that the Reserve Bank would confirm whether President Ramaphosa had disclosed the foreign currency which he claimed had been stolen in his farm. Instead, the Reserve Bank opted to change to a worshipping mode here. That is, they change and thereby compromising its independence. So the UDM has written, therefore, to the Reserve Bank governor with a view to get to request PAIA in order to know how did they arrive at this decision, which is controversial. So we're waiting for them to respond to that, to hand over that secret report to us.
And as we wait for them to hand over that report to you, I mean, the bank said that the process involved internal information and databases, the analysis of cross-border foreign exchange transactions over the period under investigation, documents and interviews with the various individuals. So is it therefore not in the interest of the citizens and the country to know what was on those documents and to know what questions were asked and the responses in those interviews?
Yes, it is. But as you are aware, this process started when the ANC muzzled out all members of parliament to tell them they have no business to read Judge Ngobo's report, panel report. So what we have seen here from then has been a major coordinated cover-up in order to protect one individual. Unfortunately, the Reserve Bank has compromised its independence, and nobody should take them seriously anymore because they have opted to poke their nose into politics rather than interpreting the laws of this country. And if they are refusing to give us that report, obviously, they have no last word on this issue. The courts will be ready for us.
And it's quite interesting that you mentioned the ANC's position on this matter. I mean, we've heard the ANC spokesperson, Mahlengu Bengu, saying the process followed shows that South Africa is a robust democracy with resilient oversight and regulatory institutions. So is the perceived application of process good enough if that process is, quote unquote, whitewash, as some people would say?
She has to try and spin something which is not spinnable. I don't subscribe to that version of hers. Everybody knows that the president has been protected by the court, every institution in this country. So, but we are not about to raise a white flag in the middle of the battle. We are going to continue to sort answers from the Reserve Bank.
Well, General, you and I know that the Reserve Bank said that they did seek legal advice on this. So what if the bank rejects your application for access to the report on the basis of the legal wisdom they sought?
Well, legal advice doesn't mean that every avenue has been obtained. They didn't consult, that legal advice didn't consult people like us. So we also have our own legal advice who might come with a contradictory position from theirs. So if they refuse to hand over the report, the doors are open to our courts. Simple as that, we'll force them through the courts.
Now, the UDM is invoking relevant sections of the PAIA Act. What sections of this act do you hope will withstand a possible refusal to grant your party access to the information?
Well, the act on its own is designed to allow us access to information we are requiring. This time around, we will be stating in detail if they want more information exactly on what we want. But what we want more is to also get to know why would a crime be classified as secret. Simple as that. It's one of those things. So they will have to share the information or documents which would have led them to come up with this position that Cyril Ramaphosa has not done anything yet. President Ramaphosa told the world that he knows about these dollars and he obtained them from selling his animals. And then the Reserve Bank is talking about a certain position which is contradictory to the president. It's a joke.
And having said that, the bank says that there was no perfected transaction, and I'm going to quote them verbatim, there was no perfected transaction, and thus the Reserve Bank cannot conclude that there was any contravention of the exchange control regulations. The applicable regulation is Regulation 6 by Ndabanyoni Estates, and for that matter, by the President. So will you not consider this particular section of the report? Will you not take it into consideration?
Well, we will take everything which will help us to get to the bottom of this scandal. But the Reserve Bank must also tell us whether they had any business to talk about this position, which they are sort of wanting to rely on. What was the mandate? The mandate here was for them to investigate whether the president has disclosed the money which the president has already said he had that money through selling his animals. Why would they now want to go another route? That is not their mandate.
Right. And this does happen in some instances, General, when a minister or an entity decides not to release certain information for a certain reason. Just last year, you'll remember that the Public Enterprises Minister, Pravin Gordhan, was actually compelled by the court to provide documents on the SAA sale to one of the bidders, the Toto Investments. So is it possible then that while the Reserve Bank says the FinServ or the Financial Surveillance Department sought legal advice on its investigation and the process, that this could be challenged in court?
Let that legal advice of theirs be tested in a court of law. We are not going to be threatened by people who say, I've got a legal advice. It might have been a cooked legal advice after all. But we want an independent body because a crime was committed. And we cannot compromise on that. So for the Reserve Bank to say they are interested in the transaction, we are not at this stage interested in the transaction being perfect. What if it is not perfect? How did that money end up in that farm? President has already told us that he did get the money. The question now is the how part. Reserve Bank has dodged that part. So the courts might be good ones to pronounce the last word on this issue.
Now, this news, of course, received so much backlash with other political parties weighing in by issuing statements and doing interviews. But is there any other party or entity that you are working with if the matter does indeed go to court?
Normally, what we normally do is coordinate these issues. But at this stage, we have not started on that. We just ask for the information. I'm sure that information then would, if we get it, we would be able to say, then we apply for a judicial review on this report. We contradict the Reserve Bank completely. But if the Reserve Bank is refusing to give us the report, then we will go to court. This is where now maybe other courts also will join as friends of the court, or we will jointly apply for this. I am not sure what other political parties are doing currently.
All right, General, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was UDM leader General Bantu Holomisa clarifying the party's intention to coerce the Reserve Bank to release the report on Phala Phala findings. Now, this follows the Reserve Bank's announcement that the institution won't make the findings on its Phala Phala investigation available to the public. So the report, which the institution says will be kept private, has found absolutely no wrongdoing on the president, on President Ramaphosa's possession of undeclared dollars in his farm.